Terastallization takes on a new form in the next expansion in the Pokemon trading card game, Stellar Crown, launching in a few weeks on September 13. This set delves deeper into the Terastal phenomenon, first seen in the Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet video games with the introduction of Stellar Terra Pokemon EX to the Pokemon TCG. Each Stellar Terra Pokemon EX will have a special Stellar attack with names inspired by various gemstones, which will cost 3 different types of energy to use in exchange for some unique attacks highlighting the brilliant crystalline qualities of the Stellar Terra Pokemon EX. This will also be the first time the legendary Pokemon Terrapagus makes its official debut in the Pokemon TCG. The Stellar Terra Pokemon are eerily similar to the old Crystal Pokemon cards from the old Expedition, Aquabliss and Skyridge expansion, down to their looks and attack costs, so I'm especially excited to see how these will impact the metagame. In this set, we are getting 4 of them released: Terrapagus EX, Galvantula EX, Cinderace EX, and Lapras EX, but this should only be the beginning, with Sylveon EX and Armarouge EX already in the horizon in the Surging Spark set. However, bringing it back to the present, in this video we will be taking a look about what the new archetypes might look like for these, as well as the brand new Hydrapple EX. Don't forget that you can watch videos 24 hours earlier if you become a channel member by following the link in the description below. This kind of support helps me continue to create content like this, so please consider becoming a channel member if you enjoy the content. The first Stellar Pokemon I want to talk about is Lapras EX, which honestly is the exact opposite of Stellar. I don't think there is any sort of archetype worth making out of this card. Power Splash can do unlimited damage, but investing 7 to 8 energy onto a single Pokemon to reach the 280 to 330 damage threshold is a lot to ask. The only reliable way to do it would be through Baxcalibur's Ice Cold ability, and Chien-Pao EX just does the job so much better. Sure, you have to discard the energy, but you have 1. A more efficient damage multiplier doing 60 per energy instead of 40, as well as the perfect ability to synergize with the attack. It also has the same HP, same weakness, and same retreat cost as Chien-Pao EX. As for its super expensive second attack, Larimar Rain, the only way this would ever be considered is if Togepi, Clef, and Igglybuff EX was still legal, so you could try to use Supreme Puff GX+. The only good thing I can say about this card is that the artwork is very cool and will look fantastic displayed in your binder. I give this card a competitive rating of -3 out of 5. Moving on to the real archetypes though, let's examine Cinderace EX first. It's hard to justify playing any Stage 2 EX Pokemon at the moment in this hyper aggressive metagame we find ourselves in. I will also likely continue heading into Stellar Crown, but Cinderace EX does have some good attributes. Its Flare Strike attack does the magic to 180 damage number that a lot of decks try to go for, dealing with any basic Pokemon V or EXs, as well as the powerful V stars like Regidrago and Lugia. Powering up 3 energy though could be complicated, which is where Magma Basin and the brand new supporter Perrin comes in. This new supporter lets you search for 2 basic energy of different types in your deck, attach one to a Pokemon and put the other in your hand. This not only helps power up fast, but the diversity in energy lets you power up to utilize Garnet Volley as well. There are other ways to cover for this attack cost, including double turbo energy, though that brings down the damage to 260, missing out on some key numbers, or through the use of Apex like Meowper Energy or the brand new Sparkling Crystal tool, which reduces the attack cost of Terra Pokemon by any energy. The 2 A-Spec options, as well as Perrin, help power up the Fighting and Darkness energy cost of Garnet Volley, which does 180 damage to a benched Pokemon. This is a pretty good attack now that Mew EX and Squawkabilly EX are becoming more and more popular in this fast-paced format. So despite the awkward energy cost, it's a great backup attack to Flare Strike, which you can't use in consecutive turns anyways. Having free retreat cost does help with that issue though, so that's another great aspect of this card. And being weak to water is almost like not having a weakness at this point in time, but Palkia V-Star threat is looming. The most natural partner for this is of course Pidgeot EX, which not only fits in perfectly in a deck that will use Forward Candy already, but plays one of cards that can be difficult to find, such as Neo Upper Energy or Perrin. And coincidentally, Feather Ball can really help the deck set up, as it is a more powerful Ultra Ball in this deck specifically, with both Pidgeot EX and Cinderace EX having free retreat costs. With Radiant Charizard as a backup attacker, the question becomes, how competitive will this card be? In my opinion, don't get your hopes up until the format slows down again and Stage 2s can handle themselves a little bit better, so I give this card a 3 out of 5 rating for competitiveness. Next we have Galvantula EX, this quirky electric bug that now has 2 interesting and playable cards with its Stellar and regular version of the card, as well as a very powerful Joltik. Its first attack, Charged Web, is simple and powerful. 110 damage for 2 energy is already quite cost effective. but if the defending Pokemon is a V or EX, you do 110 more for 220 total. 220 covers Regidrago V, and of course Lugia V even if it wasn't Lightning Week, as well as all the supporting Pokemon like Teal'c, Ogerpon EX, Rotom V, Fezandipiti EX, Mew EX, Quackabili EX, and Lumineon V. However, it comes up short KOing other basic Pokemon EXs like Raging Bolt EX and Roaring One EX. Whilst the latter can be solved by Vitality Band, hitting 240 is tough, and you likely need to focus on KOing around it. And no, before you run to the comment section to suggest Zapdos, it only increases basic Pokemon's damage unfortunately. With the ability to power up immediately out of the blue thanks to Electric Generator, even with a single energy hit, Charged Web is not an attack to underestimate when you see the cute little 30 HP Joltik hit the field. Its second attack, Fulgurite, is much more awkward to power up with the Grass, Lightning and Fighting energy cost. It also forces you to discard all the energy attached, but you get to lock your opponent out of items during their next turn. This lock has been historically very powerful in the Pokemon TCG, and the high damage output is balanced here with the energy discard, making it very difficult for you to do it in consecutive turns. One way to power up is through the use of Joltik's Battery Charge attack. It allows you to attach 2 Grass and 2 Lightning energy in any way you like to your Pokemon in play, which is honestly an absurd amount. As far as I remember, there isn't an attack quite like this one for such a cheap cost too. So this is a great way to get a lot of energy into play right off the bat. However, this is only for your first turn going second most likely, but ideally you'd want to be able to have the necessary energy required for Fulgurite every turn, and good news, it is possible with a few different combos. So let's take a look at the 3 different ways you can play Galvantula EX. The first combo is combining Galvantula EX with Blissey EX and works this way. First, you need to establish a stellar Galvantula EX in play, as well as 2 Blissey EX at least. Then, you can use Glass Trumpet to attach 2 basic energy to 2 Blissey EX on the bench. Next, you will use Blissey EX's ability Happy Switch in order to transfer those basic energy to Galvantula EX. And finally, you will attach an energy from your hand, whichever type you didn't recover with Glass Trumpet, to be able to power up Fulgurite once more. Setting up 3 stage 1 to do this sounds difficult, and it definitely is, but the payoff is huge. The new Noctowl and its Jewel Hunt ability can help you set up and find any missing pieces, whilst Perrin and Power Glass can also help sustain the deck and get extra energy in play to support Glass Trumpet. You will likely need the support of Bibarel to go alongside Noctowl, to keep replenishing your hand of resources to find all the missing pieces. But having a full item lock against your opponent whilst doing 180 damage is certainly possible this way. The next way is through the use of Regigigas. Thanks to Area Zero Underdepths, you can now have all 6 different Regis on the field, plus 2 more Pokemon that can then take advantage of the Ancient Wisdom ability to attach 3 energy from the discard pile to any of your Pokemon. This is perfect for Fulgurite, which discards those very same energy. This ability also lets you recover the powerful Legacy energy each turn, potentially making Galvantula EX a single price Pokemon if you decide to use Charged Web instead of Fulgurite, or 0 price Regi attackers throughout the game once you find it. Of course, this could all fall apart once your opponent counters the Area Zero Stadium, and that's what makes this deck a bit less reliable than we would like, as recovering Regis continuously to be able to power up will be problematic for sure. But aside from that, it is a pretty fun combo, and since there are a lot of decks that will play Area Zero, you might not have to worry too much about counters anyways. The final way to play Galvantula EX is with a more straightforward Miraidon EX engine, and relying more on Joltik's attack to power up initially. This is more focused on having Galvantula EX for its cost-effective Charged Web attack as well as higher HP than the usual V or EX basics, but can utilize Fulgurite occasionally as well thanks to the Sparkling Crystal Aspect tool. When using this version of the deck, you'll be able to have Galvantula EX as a threat, as well as a full power Raikou V, Miraidon EX and Iron Hands EX as well, being able to adjust to any necessary situation depending on what your opponent has out. Galvantula EX is such a versatile card, but the frail 30 HP Joltik could be a problem if you can't evolve them fast enough with all the Dragapult EX Phantom dives going around as of late. But I would not be surprised to see some Galvantula EX decks have deep runs in tournaments, so I give this card an overall competitive rating of 3.5 out of 5. And saving the best for last, we have the main Pokemon of the Stellar Crown set, Terapagos EX. Not only is this card beautiful in all of its presentations, but it's also quite promising, and when combined with Area Zero, gives me a deja vu sensation with Mega Rayquaza EX and Skyfield. And while Quackabili EX is not even close to Shaymin EX in terms of power level, There are a lot of other really cool supporting Pokemon to go alongside Terapagos EX to make this deck a very threatening powerhouse. Its attack, Unified Beatdown, does 30 damage for each bench Pokemon you have in play, and when combined with Area Zero, that damage goes all the way up to 240. Perfect to deal with all other high HP basic V or EX Pokemon out there from other top decks. There is a drawback, however, in that you can't use this attack on your first turn if you're going second, so no easy dunks for this deck are possible, which actually puts it in a bit of a bind against other powerful big basic Pokemon such as Roaring Wind EX, Raging Bolt EX, or Miraidon EX. However, that is where the second attack comes in, Crown Opal. While its Grass, Water and Lightning attack cost can be detrimental, Glass Trumpet can certainly help cover that with ease. If you manage to pull it off on that first turn, you deal 180 damage and you cannot be damaged by attacks from non-colorless Pokemon. Both of the attacks seem pretty balanced overall. However, it is the supporting cast of this deck that pushes this deck to a higher limit. First, we have Noctowl, which I already touched on briefly for Galvantula EX, but the Jewel Hunt ability is quite simply outstanding. It was not too long ago we had Drizzle's and Inteleon's Shady Dealings ability, and now it's back, with the requirement of having a Terra Pokemon in play. Obviously, this requirement is not an issue for Terapagos EX, as the card itself is a stellar Pokemon, and so you can search for any necessary trainer cards once you evolve your Hoot. Second, we have Fan Rotom and its Fan Call ability, letting you search for 3 colorless Pokemon with 100 HP or less and put them into your hand. This ability can only be used on the first turn of the game, but it's perfect to set up multiple Hoot and even have a Noctowl in your hand ready to go for the next turn as well. And finally, we have Bouffalant and its Curly Wall ability, reducing the damage your colorless basic Pokemon take by 60 as long as you have 2 of them in play. This means you essentially have 290 HP basic Pokemon attackers doing 240 damage over and over, potentially protecting against other non-colorless Pokemon, and only needing to worry about replacing Area Zero each turn to maximize the damage. Damage reduction, targeted trainer search, and extra basic search of a single Buddy Puffin or Nespal gives this deck amazing support with perfect synergy with its Unified Beatdown attack. This sort of support is certain to push this deck forward, and there seems to be 2 different versions doing well over in Japan right now. The first contains everything mentioned previously, as well as Iron Leaves EX as an easier to power up attacker to utilize on that first turn going second in order to apply pressure since the very first turn. The second, however, is being played with Pidgeot EX and Double Turbo Energy as the only way to power up Terapagos EX's Unified Beatdown attack. These versions are of course perhaps a little bit slower as they rely on setting up Pidgeot EX to find pieces, but are more likely to recover from a counter Area Zero much more effectively thanks to Quick Search. Regardless of which version you pick, Terapagos EX will certainly be a powerful archetype, and the Area Zero Underdepth Stadium will be played in many decks as well, ultimately benefiting Terapagos EX. And because of this, I'd give this card a 4 out of 5 competitive rating. The final archetype I wanted to talk about coming from the Stellar Crown set is Hydrapple EX. Whilst not a stellar Pokemon, it's a powerful stage 2 that seems viable, and grass types are always attractive in a format where Charizard EX remains a powerful threat. The Syrup Storm attack is both cost effective and powerful, doing more damage for every grass energy attached to all of your Pokemon. This has perfect synergy with both its Ripe Charge ability, which allows you to attach an extra grass energy from hand and heal 30 damage to the Pokemon you attached, as well as Steel Mask Ogre Pony EX to get even more energy in play. These 2 powerful Pokemon, combined with powerful items such as Earthen Vessel and Bug Catching Set, means you can get going quite fast and get 9 to 10 grass energy into play to 1-KO any other Pokemon out there. Unlike the other decks, this is a lot more one-dimensional overall. Powerful high damage attack, extra energy abilities, and a lot of items and supporters to filter out your deck and set up multiple attackers as fast as you can. Sure, you can get cute with other cool supporting Pokemon like Hisuian and Lilligant V-Star to help your setup, or Weirdir V for a different type of attacker, but I find straightforward is best for this type of deck, so keeping it simple is my ideal way to play this. Having said that, Steel Mask Ogre Pony EX and Regidrago V-Star seem to be keeping Charizard EX in check already, so is Hydrapple EX as a stage 2 Pokemon worth all the trouble setting up? Perhaps it will be. I certainly think it has potential, so I give this card a 3.5 out of 5 competitive rating right now. This should cover all the brand new competitive options coming from Stellar Crown. However, Area Zero Underdepths is such a powerful stadium that it will see play in a lot of different decks and even bring Palkia V-Star back into the fray as a top tier deck. this stadium is going to be format defining for a long time until we get something like Roadblock Sudowoodo back in the format. Or perhaps it's finally time for Glimmora EX to shine? Regardless of what happens, its immediate effect will certainly be felt across the format, and so I will be covering a lot of the changes and upgrades to current or existing decks in my next video, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that going up either. I hope this video has been useful for you, and I'd love to know what you think of these decks and the Stellar Crown set in general. Thanks for watching, and until next time. If you want to support the channel, you can use code TABLEMON to get 5% off at Potan Store for your online codes, 10% off for your sealed product at Flipside Gaming, and 10% off on your aluminum accessories at TC Evolutions. Or if you're looking to buy singles or sleeves, you can fill up your cart and close the tab, then click on the affiliate link in the description and check out. That way you can support the channel over at TCG Player, Card Market, and Dragon Shield. ¿Eres de México y necesitas cartas de Pokémon? Busca Hyperbeam Cards en Facebook e Instagram. Y si estás en Tijuana, búscalos en el local C27 en el Centro Comercial Otay.